What's up, everyone? Welcome to Chicks and Salsa. How is y'all's weeks going, ladies?
Pretty good. How about yours?
Busy. Back to, like I said, back to kind of our normal schedule now. We're jumping back into it, and it has been busy for sure. Candy,
With
how's your weekend?
I was gonna say having the holiday yesterday,
Oh,
um,
right.
it just makes Tuesday that much more busy because everybody has problems over the weekend, and it's like throwing 5 days worth of work into four. So it was kind
Right.
of crazy today, but that's okay.
I worked yesterday, so
Sorry.
glad y'all got to enjoy a holiday. You know what? The Cowboys and the Eagles are both going to be enjoying holiday weekends now. So
For the Dolphins.
right, yes.
Mhm.
So I guess we will jump into our NFL coverage. We had Super Wild Card Weekend this past weekend, and it was very interesting. There were a few games that I don't think were super surprising. Kansas City to me wasn't very surprising. What was surprising about that game was just the impact that the weather had. Not only, I mean, we knew it was going to be cold. We didn't know that we didn't know that Andy Reid was going to look like a walrus out there with the frozen mustache. We didn't know that Patrick Mahomes was going to get cracked in the helmet and that part of it was going to come off. Then there was, what's up? That's one of my friends, Gaz. Hey. We didn't know that, that Tyreek Hill was going to come out and he was going to have to post a picture of himself with just the ashiest white lips saying, why didn't nobody tell him? So there was a lot that went on in that game that we couldn't have anticipated, but I think the outcome we definitely anticipated. So, but starting off, our first game was the Houston Texans versus the Cleveland Browns. This was the number one defense going against a rookie quarterback. Definitely a very young team, similar to Green Bay, very young. And just a definitely not the score was very surprising to me going against the number one defense like that. Like they just looked very flat, and that seemed to be kind of a trend this weekend. What was y'all's thoughts on this game?
This weekend was so topsy-turvy. Like,
Right.
I kind of loved it. It was like old school football in so many ways that we had people who you didn't expect to win. Like, I'm sorry, Katie, I did not think Jordan Love and the Pack would do what they did. Sorry,
Right.
Megan. You know I love you, but I'm sorry.
No, I
Jen,
mean it is what it is. You have to
everybody
address
else,
it.
you and everybody else, if you watch the pregame, all of the analysts picked the Cowboys to win that game.
Right.
No, hardly anybody picked Green Bay or gave them a choice or a chance. But I'd like to start with CJ Stroud and the Texans.
Right.
How well
Mhm.
he played, considering he's a rookie and going up against Joe Flacco, who's granted he's been a backup for how long? I mean,
Right.
he's been out of the league, but he came in and he's been playing hot as of late.
Right. He did.
Mhm.
How much of a difference that game was. I mean,
He
45-14, that wasn't, it was
Right.
close
Yeah.
going into halftime. And then second half, Cleveland laid the egg.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they really
Um,
did.
I like you said, the differential in the score was just shocking to me. Like I expected it to be a really good game. I
Mhm.
figured CJ and them that they were going to come in and they were going to play well and they were going to have the energy of home field advantage. But that number one defense to me, like I felt like they were going to go in and at least they were going to keep it close. No, not at all.
Not at all. No.
Mhm.
Kansas
Nowhere
City,
close.
that didn't surprise me. I mean, Miami has been trending worse and worse. And they're what, 0 and like 17 or something for December and January games, especially when it's
Right.
And
You know,
here's the thing, Miami fans are being reckless and
yeah, they are.
literally killing people. Who they are
Oh,
literally killing
okay.
people. And it's got like I know Florida's always got the jokes, sorry, Candy, but
That's
you
okay.
know, Florida always has the jokes about the crazies, right? But the Dolphins fans,
Yeah.
I
man.
think I think part of it is we are one of the places that, and I hate to say this, not many people are from Florida. We're kind of a
Uh-huh.
transplant from
All right.
wherever, so we get a lot of people from a lot of different, not only states, but a lot of different countries come here too. Like,
Right.
so I think a true fan is not necessarily the same for Miami, though. But yes.
Oh, that's interesting. I was laughing because I thought you were going to go towards the part of them talking about the weather and how they should have been at a neutral site, and it's just laughable to me that they say that. Win home field advantage.
Right?
Exactly. Don't lose to Buffalo the last game of the season, and you would have.
Right. Definitely so. All right. Well, sliding over to the Chiefs versus the Dolphins game, Chiefs finish out on top 26-7. Like I said, not that much of a surprise, but not just because of the weather and them not being able to adapt to that. I think you have to talk about the amount of injuries that they had on their team. Now, it's not an excuse. It's not a crutch. But when you have like 10 people injured, it's something that you have to bring up.
Yeah.
Like it's just something. It is a factor. Like you may not use it as an excuse, but it absolutely is a factor.
100% it's a factor. And also, like the Dolphins, they've done so well, but they aren't used to playoffs anymore. They aren't used to the big stage.
Okay.
And they've got to get more used to it, more comfortable with it. And like you said, win home field advantage. Right. But you're going against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. You ain't gonna win.
But you know what? They were going against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs against a Chiefs team that has looked shaky. So it should have been closer than that had they not had that number of injuries. I feel like, I mean, when you have 10 people that are on the IR, like what can you say to that? Like that's going to affect both sides of the ball.
Sorry.
Well,
no problem.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's slide over to the next game, the first game on the Sunday slate. Go ahead and smile, Candy. Yes. Well, you got to feel good about it. You got to feel good about it.
Tissues?
No, I'm okay, guys. You know what? It's something that was so shocking, the result of it. And yes, Alex, that is a good point. Speak of the Miami Heat fans. They're late to every single game. They don't show up until halftime. It's just who they are.
Let me make a quick comment about the Miami Heat because I know we're not going to talk about it, but they have announced that they are going to put a statue out for Dwayne Wade, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So back to the Cowboys, it was just a performance that was so shocking that it hasn't even I can't get mad because I'm still just so stunned by our lack of performance. I don't want to say performance because there was no performance. Nobody showed up.
I'm pretty sure the Panthers actually destroyed the Cowboys in the playoffs in 1996. I swear. I know you were like 5, Megan, but I swear.
I was not 5. I was 11. still a little younger. To me, it's just completely stunning. And even to the fact that we haven't made any moves, we haven't made any adjustments yet about what we're going to do going forward. I actually feel good about that. It leaves a little bit of a question mark, but the more I think about it, I'm like, okay, well, maybe Jerry's thinking it through before he acts. And as we know, that is a good thing because he's been known to pull the trigger on, we've had Pac-Man Jones. We had T.O. I love T.O., but I mean, he was somewhat of a locker room problem. Like we have no problem calling over locker room problems and, to maybe take your time, but know that you're on the clock. The coaches that have any credibility, Vrabel, Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, they're going to go pretty quickly, I feel like, because we have how many open positions right now in the NFL? We have 6 jobs that are open, I believe.
At least.
Yeah. Sorry, I swallowed one.
I don't know that Bill Belichick is the answer for the Cowboys. The defensive side of things during this game, I was more disappointed in than I was actually offensively. And I know a lot of y'all are like, oh, Dak, he played terrible. Yeah, he played terrible. But we know that we collapse on the offensive side of the ball sometimes. What we don't do is allow 45 points,
right.
We don't allow that amount of being beat to that differential like that. Like every time we would get a little momentum going on the offensive side of the ball, the defense would come in and they would just be completely flat. Like it was not a performance by our coach, our defensive coordinator, or our players that felt like they wanted to be there. If you saw in the first quarter that, hey, you switched up the defense, you went from man to man to zone, and you saw, hey, that's not working, because it wasn't just us playing bad. It was Green Bay playing really well. By the second throw that Jordan Love made, I said, oh, crap, we're in for it. Like he was throwing really well. The run game looked excellent. And then their defense came out was top notch too. So just all the credit to Green Bay and all the discredit to my Cowboys.
And in all honesty, Green Bay had some awesome play action calls. Like, I mean, hats off, Candy. And that's what happens. No offense, Megan, when your locker room respects your quarterback. I mean, that's just what happens.
Well, so Alex, I'm a year away from being done with Dak. All of y'all know I call him my future ex-husband, because as soon as he leaves the team, it's over. But I think I'm about a year away from saying, like, okay, your time with us is done. We'll see what he looks like. What's going to happen with our coaching situation going forward, though. For me, I'm about 1 year away.
Do you think Jones will allow Mike to stay and but get a new DC?
Maybe,
because he has gotten you guys to the playoffs, Maria, like 3 years in a row, right?
He has, and we had the same record for 3 years in a row. So, not to say that we were unsuccessful. We had 36 wins in the last 3 years, so it's not like we were unsuccessful. Right. But it doesn't add up to anything in the postseason, and that's a huge problem. And it's a huge problem when one team just particularly has your number, and it doesn't matter who their quarterback is. It doesn't matter what field you play. It doesn't matter what time of the season you play. They always beat you. Like it doesn't matter. So something has to be figured out there. And Mike all week long was talking about he didn't want to talk about his relationship with Green Bay. Like he wanted to focus on what he had going on at the time. You didn't.
Yeah.
So Candy, what were your thoughts on the game?
His old team? Even though it's all new players.
What, Jen? I'm sorry, I missed the first part.
Y'all don't have any players left over from his time as head coach, do you?
No. No, I don't think so. No,
I don't think so.
No,
it's been at least 3 years.
Right.
Yeah.
No, we're the youngest team in the leagues. Averaging 25.8, I think, is the average age. What I think I really like is their decision, like they did on Thanksgiving against Detroit, is they won the toss and they decided, let's go for it. Let's take the ball and let's run, because that really set the tone, I think. And because we moved it down the field, so many NFL teams, let's get the ball in the second half. Let's defer. But I think it really has played to their favor that they actually took the ball, and LaFleur said, I have confidence in my offense. I want the ball to begin with because I want them to start strong. Because I think if it switched, if Dallas had started off stronger, or maybe it might have been, we might be talking differently, But, I mean, am I happy for my Packers? Of course, because the talk has always been, it's going to be so bad. It's going to be growing pains now that we let Aaron Rodgers, a 4-time MVP, go and we traded him away. We didn't get a lot. He took a lot of players with him. So what are we left with? I think one of the things that also taught us is that sometimes it is time to work with the receivers, to work with, and we weren't banged up too in the beginning. Like Aaron Jones hasn't played all season with us. He's been banged up a lot. And we're still without AJ Dillon as well. But the true test will be this weekend when we have to go to San Francisco again. And that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough.
Vince, to answer your question, Carrie left us.
She's on a much needed vacation.
Exactly. She'll be back though.
My question about Dallas really comes though. Dak is his contract is $60 million next year. Like that's a big hit to try and get some
Right.
other pieces.
It's like 59.6 or something like that. I do think that, they've already announced that they plan to work on his extension during the offseason, that it should be taken care of before we go into the season. Now, for me, seeing is believing. We jerked him around for so long on his last contract for 2 seasons. We tagged him. He wanted a 4-year contract. That way he had enough time left in his career to go somewhere else and possibly succeed if things didn't work out there in Dallas. And you can't blame somebody for that.
Right.
Whatsoever. So he wanted a 4-year deal. Dallas wanted a 6-year deal. The problem was not the money. Then, they jerked him around for 2 seasons, didn't extend him, and then his leg was broken, and they had to come in and pay that contract because, it appeared to be the right thing at the time, right? You've jerked this guy around so long. Here you are. He may have trashed his leg for your organization, and he may not ever have another contract. He may never ever play well again. Like there was question marks on whether the quality he was going to have when he returned. So, I don't know if he'll restructure or what he'll do. That will show us where does he want to be and what's going to happen with our coaching staff too. I think like if you're willing to, if Mike McCarthy, because we saw earlier this week, he also said, if Mike McCarthy's in the hot seat, put me there too. Well, honey, you're there. Like you're there. Like you're saying, you're acting as if you're, playing a martyr and saying like, oh, well, put me in there too. Well, look, you're already there, honey. Like they've been calling for you to be let go a couple of seasons ago. And several fans of us were saying like, no, wait, give him time. And he did have an amazing season, right? Regular season, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Candy, this question is for you. Who is the Packers wide receiver number 1, assuming everyone's healthy?
So if everyone's healthy, it's supposed to be Christian Watson, but he's been so injury prone with his hamstring lately that Romeo Doubs is really he's shining through. I mean, he received 6 for 151 yards this past game against Dallas. So, we have the nice thing is that we don't have what you would say is what I would say is a true wide receiver 1. I don't think we have that because we've spread the ball to so many different targets this year that I think that works Jordan's favor. It's whoever's open. And let's face it, he hit, and I hate to say this, Megan, but he hit from your defense some wide open players. Like I couldn't believe, I'm like, where like they panned to one of the players and there wasn't a defensive player in the shot. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
You guys don't have to apologize. I mean, I watched the same game that y'all watched. Like there's nothing that I can say that can justify the performance that I saw from our defense. And on either side of the ball, there's nothing that can justify it. So there's y'all do not have to apologize. I'm still stunned.
I think a lot of people are.
Right. All right, sliding over to the next game, we had the Rams versus the Lions, and the Lions win their first playoff game since 1992 in a very close one, 24-23. Now, this was a game I think we all anticipated it being close like this. I thought it was going to go the other direction just because of the amount of players that the Rams have had get healthy at the right time, but it didn't go that way. So let's talk a little bit about that game.
Man, they needed to, like, after Stafford got hit so hard, they needed to just sit him. Like, you could see the stars in his eyes as he was staring up at the dome. Like, you literally, I was like, he's back out on the field. I was like, this is where Andy Reid is a better coach. Like, he would have made him sit.
Right.
Because the health and the future of him is more important, too. We'll come back to that, Alex. It was a good game though. I was so happy. Like I messaged like our, friend of the show, Dom. I meant to message Mel, but I forgot to. So congrats, Mel. Congrats, Scott. But I mean, that was such a good win for them. Like I was happy for them. So
congrats to the whole city.
Yeah. Banging the sports weekend. They had an amazing sports weekend.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Every team won. College, pro, everybody won.
Mm-hmm.
No, love seeing programs be able to turn it around like that. Houston included. I know they went through a really tough few years. Everybody leaving them. D Hop left, JJ left. Like it just, they went through a really rough time. They had to let literally everybody go that was on the coaching staff. So, and then also the Deshaun drama. So glad for the city of Houston that they have something other than the Astros, because I think they're on the decline. All right, sliding over to our next game. Now we had the Steelers versus the Bills. What was supposed to be a Saturday game got pushed to Monday. Pretty much with the same outcome, I feel like, though. Bills win 31-17. This one wasn't too surprising to me because I don't think the Steelers should have been there.
Mm-hmm.
No. Here's what kills me. How can on one hand you say that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season, but you look at Ron Rivera and the Carolina Panthers, who had multiple winning seasons, including 3 NFC South or division titles 3 years in a row, right? And then people say we've never had a winning seasons back to back to back. We have. You win the division, that's a winning season.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if one is because of a tie. You still win.
Right.
I mean, I don't understand that thought process, but I don't know.
Candy, did you have any thoughts on this game?
It didn't surprise me either. I mean, the Bills were at home. That always makes a difference too.
Mm-hmm.
I think home field advantage when the teams are evenly matched, and I don't think these were evenly matched because, like you said, Pittsburgh was, hanging on by a thread. They got in because other people lost and stuff like that. It wasn't, they went out and had a great game. But you do have to give some respect to Tomlin, and he has said that he is coming back for next year. So
okay.
But I loved his mic drop, though. I loved it when somebody was asked. He was like, "I don't have time for this right now." Like, it's not about me.
Right.
I mean, but did Tomlin not get a ring? Has Tomlin not gotten a ring?
He got a ring his first year coaching.
Right. Was Ben there?
I think so. I think it was like his first or second year.
Okay. Interesting. I was just curious from that comment from Alex. Bills Mafia is insane. We saw them all weekend working on the snow. They were taking their shirts off, getting in the drainage tubes, helping push the snow with their bare chest.
I mean, that was awesome. Like, I sent that text to one of my friends, Matt, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" She's like, "That's how Buffalo roll." I was
right,
like,
"Yeah, they lost feeling in their feet and nipples probably years ago." So,
my husband will tell you Buffalo is the only city that can outdrink him.
All right, and our last game of wild card weekend was the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Bucks in Tampa. Bucks come out on top 32-9. This is what I expected out of Philly. I thought that they were going to get about 9 or 10 points. Actually, the score that I predicted was 10-16 in favor of Tampa. Tampa has had a hard time this season getting over 17 points. As y'all know, my co-host on 806 Sports, or the owner and producer of 806 Sports, is a Bucks fan, and he said 17 is their magic number. If they score over 17 or they can get to 17, they usually win the ball game. So I didn't expect that score. I didn't expect for Baker to have 3 touchdowns. They played awesome, and shout out to their defense. That was the biggest factors for me that I was surprised by was the Green Bay's defense. Detroit's defense played really well, and then Tampa's defense played really well. And Detroit's defense is not known for being great these last couple of seasons, and neither is Tampa's, and they played awesome.
Philly did not have a third down. They were 0 for 9 on third downs and 0 for 2 on fourth downs. That speaks volumes to Tampa Bay's defense.
Right. Well, Philly has looked lost for 6 weeks. So, I saw somebody post whose meltdown was more epic and out of Philly and Dallas. And I think that if you include the Super Bowl last season, Philly, because you go from the Super Bowl to this, like y'all quit 6 weeks out, before the season was even over. But if you look at it just in the entirety of this season, it's got to be Dallas, because of the way that they were able to finish out the season. So, and in the fashion in which they lost. Philly, I think we kind of knew this was coming.
I thought it was a toss up, to be honest with you. I was hoping it would be Baker because, and Katie, I know we've got to go soon. Last year at Super Bowl at the Rolling Stone concert, Baker was being interviewed by someone else. So I grabbed his wife. I got his wife's attention and I apologized to her on behalf of Carolina Panther fans. And, but like, I'm like, hey, I wonder if she like actually relayed everything I said. And maybe that helped like ignite. I don't know. But I'm happy for Baker. He deserves this. Philly either doesn't have a first half or they don't have a second half. They're not consistent. They're just not. You have to have a whole game.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to run through the matchups that we have coming up real quick, and then we will end with our happy story. So for the divisional round, we got the Texans versus the Ravens at 3:30 this Saturday. That is Central Time, my bad, 4:30 Eastern. Then we got the Packers versus the Niners in San Francisco. That'll be at 8:15. Then we got the Bucks versus the Lions on Sunday at 3 o'clock. Then we got the Chiefs versus the Bills Sunday at 5:30. So no Monday night game.
It's gonna be a tough game, man.
You said what?
That the Bills the Bills Chiefs game, that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, that Kinsey, I definitely said the same thing about Philly, and it's not my bias being a Cowboys fan, but just watching the way that they won all season long, it was never pretty. They never once had a pretty win. It didn't matter how bad the team was. They never looked on point, and I kind of chalked it up to the fact that they had both brand new coordinators, but it looks like a little more than that. So I guess we'll go ahead and slide over to our last story of the night,
which we're taking as a positive, happy story.
Right, yeah.
And that is Jason Kelce has unofficially announced his retirement. He told his teammates last night after the loss in Tampa Bay. But you know what? This is just such a great thing for him. He's, like we were saying before the show started, he's going out on his terms. He's going to be able to be with his family and his friends. He'll be able to listen to a little more Taylor Swift. And I just think it's a good thing for him. And how much respect does this man have? Everyone loves Jason Kelce. Right,
for sure. I mean, he has all of his career has been with one team, with Philly. Mm-hmm. We love that. I mean, I don't love Philly, but I love that you were dedicated to the team that drafted you. And they also were dedicated to you as well. So like it goes both ways. And this is somebody that was picked in round 6, y'all. He was picked 191st. So to have the career that he had, going in at the position that he did, like what a career. He ended up finishing with, obviously he got a Super Bowl championship. He was a 6-time first team All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, and 2-time second team All Big East during his college career. So he played in 193 games and he started in every single game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So definitely agree. What a way to go out on his terms. I think we all kind of, as we watched the end of the game, I think we all knew like that was probably it.
Yeah. Our friend Jordan was messaging me. He was like, Kelsey's going to retire. And I was like, no, not yet. And then I was like looking at him and I'm like, yeah, he is. So
good for him because now he can spend time with his family. Like, and he's still healthy. It's not like he's being forced or going out on because he's injured or anything like that. So kudos to him for, having first of all, the career that he did, and then being able to go out on his own terms and say, you know what, I've made how much money. I've enjoyed playing the game that I play at such a high level. But it's time now for me to enjoy his. And doesn't he have girls? I think he has girls.
Yes. Yeah, he has girls. He got a brand new baby girl that was born last year. So enjoy it. Enjoy your family and enjoy retirement.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that does it for us this week. Thank y'all so much for commenting and interacting with us and sharing the show. Obviously, if there's anything that you guys want to talk about, feel free to message any of us and we will bring it up in the next coming weeks. And if not, we will see y'all next week.
Exactly. And just go check out South Florida Tribune. They have some shows going live soon. Have a good night, y'all.
Night. Catch Scott's